Hi there, my name's Jamie Keane and I'm the lead game designer on Far Cry 3. So the game, basically you play this character called Jason Brody. Now Jason Brody's this kind of like young West Coast American guy, and he's out traveling the world with his friends, and he kind of makes a bit of a wrong turn and ends up in this place where he really shouldn't be. He's really out of his depth, and then from that point on it's all about how he goes out and he rescues his friends who gets kidnapped, and he's trying to get them all back, and then he gradually gets kind of seduced by the power of this island and seduced by the ways of the Rakyat, the people that are on the island, and gets kind of drawn into some situations where he's really questioning, his motives and where he wants to be and what he wants to be doing in the world. It's a shooter at its heart, and it's very important for us that we have these kind of really good core shooter mechanics and good driving mechanics. And also I think where the game really comes to life is in the open world. You have this vast world that you can explore. You can go off, really lose yourself in the world, explore the place, discover all the things, all the secrets that you can find in the world, and really experience the life and the feeling of kind of like vibrancy and organic life of the island. The difficulty levels are mostly about the kind of experience that you want to have. I think most people will probably jump in at survivor level, which is kind of like our normal difficulty most of all, and that's going to be the kind of the way that we've tuned the game mostly for that kind of an experience. If you're more about wanting to just get through the story quickly and kind of just see what there is to see on the island, then we have the adventurer level, which is kind of an easier thing. So the AI is going to be slightly more forgiving. You're going to do slightly more damage. They're going to do slightly less damage to you. And then if you really want a challenge, then we've got the warrior setting, and that's really all about masochism, basically. It's for the people that really want to get out there and have a real challenge from the world. So it's pretty deadly when you got it set to that level. Overall, the way that the whole game is kind of woven together to have all these interlocking systems and the way they all interact with each other. I mean, taking the outpost, for example, I think that's something we'll look to develop on in the future, definitely. But the way that it's working right now, with you go in, you take an outpost, you can set off you can have the alarm is set off if you go in guns loud. If you go in stealthily, you can kind of take all these guys out. If the alarm goes off, you call in reinforcements. You end up this extremely varied little vignette of gameplay that's really driven by the player in terms of the kind of experience you have around it. Once you take the outpost, of course, the ambience of the island around you changes. It goes from being a very antagonistic world where everybody's out to get you, but then the Rakyat move in, the pirates get kicked out, and the kind of encounters that you run into around in the world change. So it becomes much more about a sort of an exploration phase, allowing you to go off, explore the island, maybe hunt animals, that sort of thing. I think that we're very lucky with the studio over at Ubi Montreal, as we have such a deep bench that it allows us to kind of solve problems that are pretty common to games across the board without us having to sort of reinvent the wheel. What's the important thing around that, though, particularly with regards to the radio towers, for example, is that we theme it in a way that feels congruent with the world that we're building. So we have these radio towers that have got the scramblers on the top of them. You need to climb the tower to kind of descramble it so you can get access to GPS, and that's something that's very specific to the world of Far Cry 3. That's the way that we colour that. And the thing is that it's important when we're creating game mechanics that they feel like the kind of things that you would do if you were there for real. Like if you're trying to find your way around a place, it makes a lot of sense to go and find high ground. And so having these dotted around, it's kind of, it's the natural way that you would explore a world, and so it's the natural thing that you want to do in the gameplay. The hardest thing to kill in Far Cry 3, that's a good question. I think if we're talking about NPC classes, my absolute bugbear is the flamer class. So you're going to run across a guy that's got a flamethrower, and it's just the way that the fire works in the world is it's extremely unpredictable, and those guys aren't hurt by fire at all. So I remember playing it the other week, and I was trying to do an outpost, and I knew that there were a few of these flame units around inside the outpost, and kind of screwed up the stealth approach, unfortunately, and they all just come walking towards you. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to run away and try and hide, and then duck down over the top of this hill, and then this just massive wave of fire just came over towards me, coming towards me. So they're a tricky class to deal with, definitely. We're amazed by the number of diversity of stories that people are telling, and I think it varies as well from people kind of being really bowled over by the narrative, from really powerful moments in the narrative, to just the systems in the world working with themselves. People have these great stories of, when they run into an encounter or when they run into an outpost and the things that have gone on there. One of my personal favourites was we'd taken the outpost, and then the rebels had taken over, so you start getting rebel encounters spawning around the place, and then a civilian car went past and ran over one of the rebels. So the rebels then started fighting against the civilians, chasing them around in vehicles, and we were just standing there and watching them. The rebels finally got to a point where they shot these civilians in the end of the day, and then suddenly this tiger jumped out and completely nailed the last of the rebels. And that's the thing, we get these situations that are constantly cropping up that even we as developers are, we're surprised by what we find in the world. So it's really great to see people playing the game and having these kind of experiences. The level editor is a huge part of the game, and it's slightly under the radar at the moment, but I think people are going to be really pleased with it. I think people, especially people that have used it from Far Cry 2 as well, it's a hugely powerful tool. I was watching one of the level designers using it at work the other day, and I didn't actually realise it was the editor. I thought it was actually the game editor that we used to make the game. So it's a really, really powerful tool. People are going to be able to use it. We've put together kind of prefabs of certain objects so that they can really kind of make maps very quickly. And you'll also be able to place out AI in the world as well, and kind of like make these real kind of like little sandbox vignettes of gameplay. So it's going to be a really powerful tool that I'm really looking forward to getting into people's hands.